For tonight's speaker, though, I'm glad to have Baughan Cole, who is talking about making the most of your computer as a resource. She's the Stake Family History Director for the Charleston Stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She serves on several committees in the state concerning with genealogy. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan and a master's degree from West Virginia State College. She's a wife, mother, and grandmother, and she believes that we must honor our dead because without them, we would not be here, and without us, they would not be remembered. So without further ado, Kitty.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here tonight. I feel like as I look out at the crowd that maybe I'm just right along with you in this computer business. When I see the younger ones here, I know they're so far beyond me that I can't ever catch up, because it's my grandchildren that I learn most of the things from when it comes to dealing with the computer. Let me tell you a story. I have a great love for flowers. It's almost an unnatural love for flowers. You see me at the farmer's market all summer long. When wintertime comes, Hal has to go to Walmart and bring flowers home to me. It's just really an unnatural love for them. I have to be around them. Usually when I'm speaking, I'll have flowers here beside me. It seems to give me courage. And you know, I couldn't really understand this part of me, this part of actually who I am. And I started, of course, doing family history, and I came across my great-great-grandfather, who was named Thomas Cashel. And Thomas was from Lismore, born in 1815, Lismore, Ireland. And as I began to study his history, I learned that Thomas was a gardener. And I had the opportunity to go to Lismore, Ireland, and later you can come and look at this magnificent castle that he was the gardener of. And I had the opportunity to speak to the gardener that is there today, and he said to me, nothing's changed. In 1815 or 1820, 30, Thomas would have been doing the same thing and planting the same flowers that I'm planting today. And he told me about how dedicated you had to be able to do this particular job. Well, Thomas lived during the potato famine of Ireland, and he had 8 children. So what they did is, because he had a profession of being a gardener, they called him to come into Dublin. And 50% of his town had died from diseases during the potato famine. So he moved his family of 8 to Dublin, Ireland, and they lived in a house. Now, he had 8 children, and he lived with 7 other families. Now, can you imagine that? And I didn't get to see the house that they lived in when I was there, but I learned that every time that they made enough money, they would send one child to Ireland, from Ireland to America. One by one, they came to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Eagle Harbor. And all the family eventually came over, and then Thomas's wife and the youngest child were the last aboard ship to come to America. Thomas went back to Lismore, and he died there. And I wish I knew why Thomas didn't come over to America also, but he didn't. He died in his hometown. Now, what does all this have to do with what I'm going to speak about tonight? The thing I'm speaking about is making the most of your computer as a resource. Well, most of this information that I had picked up on Thomas, I picked up from someone who had done a lot of research on him on the computer and had written his family history. You know, as they said today, actually my history is going to stop with me unless I record it. I lost my first husband when he was fairly young, and you know, none of my grandchildren, I have 11 grandchildren, and none of them knew him. He died before they were born. And I think it's so sad that he was such a great man, and he truly was, that his history would not be known. So like you, I have tons of papers under my bed. I have them in my office. I have them in my closet. I mean, I have papers everywhere. And you know what my kids are going to do with it when I pass to the great beyond? And they're probably going to put it right in the yard sale with the rest of the stuff in my house. And that is the thing I want to prevent. And that's why I got involved in the computer. Now, I am not an expert on the computer, let me tell you that. It has been very difficult for me. I am not of the computer generation, but I have people that help me. My husband, my present husband being one. That was his job. In his business, he worked on a computer, and I'm so grateful for that, because now I can learn. But I want to tell you a few things about this. My church, the church I belong to, and it isn't for some reason they're in genealogy. They're in genealogy because of belief we have in eternal family. And there is a vault out of Salt Lake City. It is called the Wasatch Mountain Vault. And you go out of Salt Lake and about 5 miles down this road or way up into those mountains, and you come to this huge vault of 3 tremendous rooms. And that vault is kept at a particular temperature. And in that vault, there are billions of records from all over the world. And they are preserved. And in the church, they do send people out all over the world to collect records, to bring them back. Now, I used to think that was a little bit unusual that they would do that. I didn't quite understand it until my husband and I had the opportunity to serve a humanitarian mission, and we came into the country of Cambodia. And we had the opportunity to teach people how to get better jobs. Kind of should have stayed here in West Virginia, shouldn't we? But we didn't. We were in Cambodia doing this. And we would talk to these people, and they didn't know, if you remember, in that country, they went through a great disaster about the same time as the Vietnam War. And this dictator came in and he killed everyone that wore glasses because they looked intelligent. Or if they had any degrees whatsoever, they were gone. And so the generation we were dealing with were the children of these people. And we would ask them, well, tell us about your family. They knew nothing. Well, where are the records of your family? They were all burned. And nothing. They had no history. And I thought this was so very sad. And then I began to remember the Wasatch Mountain Vault. And the thing about that is, if you get on a certain website, enter your records, they will go to that vault, and they truly are preserved. You do not have to worry about your family not being remembered. Now, what does that have, again, to do with you? Well, you have the opportunity to order the films. I think you can order them here. You can order them at the library where I'm working. I'm sure that other places you can. And you can get all of your family history that is on the records, on the film. They have microfilm and they have other means. The problem with that is the church can't keep up with the technological changes. They spend thousands and thousands getting all these records on film, and then a new technology comes up. They have to turn around and do it all over again. Can you believe that my whole family history, it's all right here. All my family history is right here. I could actually, if I had it all recorded, which I have to be honest, I don't have it all recorded down, but I could actually throw all those papers away and know that here it is. And so I carry it with me. And when I have an opportunity, I plug it into a computer and I can pull up whatever it is I need. Isn't that marvelous? That truly is. Now, why do you think, and I want you to answer me, why do you think that we have gone from paper, books, so on and so forth, to the computer for our genealogies? Why do you think we're making this change? And it's a rapid change. Why do you think?
Access.
Yes, access. Absolutely, so much easier to get to. Why else do you think? It's faster. Yes, it is. Easier sharing, much easier sharing. My heavens, we communicate with people all over the world through the internet. Why else do you feel?
Less expensive.
It's less expensive. Yes, it is. Much less expensive. Access is great. Any other reasons? I've got one more in mind. You must know that.
Space.
Easy to search. Space. Space is a big one. And the other one is preservation. Those records are going to go on and on and on and be added on. And that is extremely important for our family histories. I don't want my family history to die with me. I want it to go on. And that's exactly what happens when you get into computerizing your family histories. Now, there are 10 of the most popular, well, there's some dumb things that we do with our computers. I want you to listen to these because I've done all of them. The first thing we do is we plug into the wall without surge protectors. I'm going to give you just a little quick update on what you need to be doing with your computer. First thing you have to do is buy one. Listen, I've got a friend that bought one and she has not taken it out of the box, and that has been 6 years. She will not use it. It's a frightening thing to some of us. But dumb things that we do with it is that we do not plug a surger. We don't have a surge protector on it, and that's extremely important. The other thing we do is we don't update it. We don't save. We don't save the things that we have put on the computer. We're told that we need to update Windows constantly. Java, or with all the Adobe software. All these things have to constantly be updated. Now, you're saying, but I don't know how to do those things. Well, that's really not so, because if you just read, it tells you. You just click, and it is updated. But that is important, because we ignore these things, and they can't be. It says, don't run or update the antivirus and anti-spyware programs. So many times you'll put a antivirus software on and they want you to buy it. Whereas if you are very smart about this, you can keep with a free one all the time and you don't have to buy all the things that they want you to.
Could I put a plug in here?
This is my husband, Hal. He's going to help me out tonight.
We've been using AVG free for several years, and we've had nothing but good results. I mean, occasionally there is some virus will come up and it says it's putting it in the vault and takes care of it. So we've talked to several people that we know, and I'll give this in a minute. We've got a friend that works for NSA in the Army in Washington, and he started their computer program years ago. It used to be the terrorists all used cell phones. They don't use them anymore. They use the internet, chat rooms and messages and so forth. And he has gone literally all over the world training hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the military on computer things. And he says there's two things. And I'll get in a minute. The browser, one of the dumb things to do is use Internet Explorer, because he said it is hacked completely and all the time. It's attacked a lot. People use that to break in and hack things, and he said it's not as safe. He suggests, and the government is using Mozilla Firefox. So we switched over and have been using that as our browser instead of Internet Explorer. Strongly recommended that. And he also said that he recommended this AVG free, which is listed on here, for antivirus and anti-spyware. There is a paid version. They'll be after you to try to get it, but you don't have to. We've been using the free version for years, and it's worked just fine with us. And so he recommends that. The other things like Norton and so forth, he said you put them on there, and they do nothing but slow down your computers, and it just takes a lot of time. So when we get something, we get a new computer and the word is on there, we just delete it immediately and just go to ABG.
Thank you. I'm sure we all know what he's talking about. We're also told that you must open all attachments at all times. It's important, particularly when you're using the programs that I'll be talking about, that you keep them updated and you keep opening all the attachments. Click on everything. Don't be afraid of the computer. And yeah, this is a dumb thing to do. But, well, you do click. You click and you experiment. But what he's saying is you don't click on things and then click on something else till you have up at the top in your toolbar all these attachments that you're using, because that really slows your computer down. This is really important. Pick easy passwords, something that you can remember. Something such as, I love my wife, ILOVEMYWIFE. You can remember that. Or I like to golf. Don't pick something that is so difficult that you'll not remember. And we ignore sometimes the need for a backup and a recovery plan. Don't do that. You put that genealogy in there, you want a backup. And if you're using the CDs to back it up, just know that there are many different kinds of CDs. The normal CD that you use, it's probably good for 4 to 6 years. But there is a CD you can get for genealogical work that really preserves for 100 years or more, but you pay big bucks for that also. But in the long run, it is really worth it. Oh, and you have to keep the disk, you have to fragment your computer. You have to clean it up all the time, defrag it. And what he suggested is that we go to www.dialfilehippo.com. That is probably a good cleanup system for you. But all that's written down. Just go through, look at your computer, and see if you have done these things. We were told in the last conference we went to that a computer is good for about 6 years at the very most. Then you should buy a new one. I think his is 14 years old now. But you can keep them running if you do these things with them, and if you use them mainly for your genealogy. Now, there are a lot of popular websites. There truly are. But we selected the ones that one of the tree maker said that was the best. And so we selected these, and out of these, what we want to do is to take 3 or 4 of them and show you how they can be used. We're here to teach you tonight, but this is not a lecture without questions. You have to stop me and you have to ask for what you need. The computer, in all honesty, is a complicated thing if you use it for every little thing you do. I mean, we're reading books on them now, all the emails that come in, all the news, everything. But if you're going to use your computer mainly for genealogy, you should be able to do it. There are all kinds of classes that are offered to teach you how to do that. So I work at the Family History Library, and so many times people in my age group will come in and say, I can't do that. I can't use that computer. Would you do that for me? Well, they're losing so much when they do this. So I want to really admonish you, don't let the world go by. You stay right in there with it, and you learn to use these programs. You learn to use them. All right, the ones that we have decided to work with tonight are Ancestry.com, which you can get in this library. Now, if you buy Ancestry, it is very expensive. But they do have it here at the State Library. We do have it in our Family History Library, and I'm sure that in some of the libraries around, I know Jackson County Library does, you can find Ancestry. I've also decided that we would use Family Search because I'm familiar with that, and because they're coming out with a new Family Search program, which is really going to be phenomenal. And then the fourth one that we're going to deal with is one that is probably the least known, and it's not even on your list of the top 10, but it is Google, and it's Google Chrome. It is outstanding for doing family history. Now, Ancestry is what's known as an open program. And the open program means that people can go in, they can add, and they can subtract. And that has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. I have gone in, and on one date, I would have a certain date for a death date for an ancestor, and then someone would have gone in and changed that date. And that makes it very difficult when they're able to do that. So that is the only disadvantage, but the advantage of Ancestry is wonderful. It's been the front runner in the market for many years. And listen to the numbers. They add 9 million names are added to the database weekly. 9 million names. They have over 9 billion names on that system. Now, don't you think that 1 or 2 of yours would be on there? I think so. They also have 250 family stories that are added by the members of Ancestry. Every single week, 250 more stories are added. Your story could be added. They have 200,000 photos that are uploaded weekly on this particular system. Do you see how much that can be accumulated, that we can use? It's extremely important that we learn to do this. They also have an international ancestry, which costs more money. But you're able to go into countries such as Ireland, which I'm having a difficult time with, England, Germany. They just came out with really good German records. Polish records, there are new records that are coming up. But the cost of Ancestry is $19.95 a month. And for the U.S. edition only, and for the World edition, it is $29.95 a month. So, you know, that's a hindrance for some of us. But again, it should not be, because they have it here at the library. We have it at our Family History Library in Sissonville, and I know several of the others do pay that amount. Now, I want to demonstrate to you just a little bit how you're going to have to help me if I stay. Here's mine. Okay. I want to demonstrate with you just a minute on how to use Ancestry. As you can see up at the top, can you hear me? Okay, as you can see up at the top, there is a search button. You get on Ancestry and you can get a 30-day free trial. Then you can only use it if you go where it is. All right, you get on search, and I can push that. And then I come down and I go to the first name and the last name. I'm going to use Thomas Cashel. This is a man I told you the story about. And see, I have to I have to think when I'm doing this. His birth year is 1815, and the country that he was born in, I go down to Ireland. And when I get to Ireland, it wants to know the county that he is born in. And he was born in Waterford County, where the Waterford Glass Factory is. It was fun to see that. His death year is 1886, and he died in Ireland. He didn't come to this country like the others did. Okay, and he died in Waterford County. Now, this is not difficult to do this at this point. But I'm going to search now and see what comes up on this particular system. This is Ancestry. And the good thing about this is, a lot of these people are not the man I'm talking about. But I'm into Irish records. And so I can come here and I can see what records they're using to make these determinations. And then I can go back, and on the internet, I can get into these particular records to find the Thomas Cashel that I'm looking for. They have the Griffiths valuation, which is a very, very good research site. Go on down, and his family coming to America, some of them would be in the 1870 census. And he did have a son named Thomas, and I think he had a cousin that was Thomas also. You get the passenger ships, goes on to the federal census records. You see, I don't have to be running from place to place. I don't have to be pulling out books. I don't have to be going to different libraries. I'm sitting in my home and I'm getting all these census records. I'm getting all these different areas that are, all these research things that I can do. But the most important thing that I think I get, you see it has census, voters, birth, marriage, death, military records, on down and down it goes. And we're searching for Thomas Cashel. Isn't that something? All right. The great thing, there's a whole lot of Thomas Cashels. The great thing about this is that in many of the times they have people that have submitted the material, and they'll have email addresses where I can communicate with other people that's working on the same line. That's important also. The other thing they have, which is so great, are family trees. Now, family trees, again, I have to put his name in, and I'm going to look it's hard to talk and concentrate on this. His birth year, his death year, I don't know. I'm stopped. I don't know who his father and mother is. Even though I've been to the site of his birth, I don't know who his father and mother are. Now you see here all these different, these people that are working on the Cashel line. I can go down and go into those family trees, and I may find his brothers and his sisters. And someday I hope that I'm able to find his father and his mother. But what a wealth of information this is. This is what I'm trying to describe to you, and what it has that you would find very, very interesting. You truly would. Now let's go on to another one. Let's go, I'm going to click out of this, and I'm going to go to, that's okay, I'm fine. I'm going to go to the family search. Family search, the advantage of it, okay. My husband's very helpful. This is a site that is put out by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for the world. It's very good. It has pedigree charts and so on and so forth for you to do. But the best thing about this, so you have your records, your trees, your catalogs, and your books that they have used. The best, I think, is this learning section. You know, we say that we can't do this, we don't understand what these are all about, but there are step-by-step learning guides on the internet for you to learn. It tells you exactly how to get started. It tells you exactly what it is that you need to do to get started. 5-minute genealogy, and they have YouTube lectures constantly telling us, which I'm not going to play for you at this time, but they have a lot of information for you. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has the largest genealogical library in the world. I don't know if any of you have been out to that Salt Lake Library. I walk in it and I utterly get lost. But they do have guides there that will help you. But all of that information, we're trying very hard to get all those billions of records that are in the Wasatch Mountain vaults into the Family Search program. And I want to go with you to something called New Family Search, which is not released to the world yet. And the reason it hasn't been released, and I'm going to really show you how to use this one, is because it needs so many corrections. There have been so much false information given and so many duplicates given that the information they were putting out was not correct. So now they're coming with this one. Okay, I hope I got that one right. Okay, I didn't. You're right. I changed my password. It's good not to use the same password on everything, but make sure it's familiar. This one requires a letter. Okay. There we go. Now, there are all these different directions that you can find on this particular website. It tells you how to use it. I'm not going to go into that because you can go there and you can click that. And that is also on Family Search, which is the world. This is going to be released the first of the year to everyone. Here we go with me and my ancestors. Here I am with my first husband, and here is his family. And I'm going to go back to my family, though, that I want to go back to Thomas Cashel, since we're getting familiar with him. Thomas, he's back, great-great-grandfather. Okay, Thomas Cashel is right here. Now, I click him up and he comes up down here. This is how you use this. I can get a summary of all his information that's on there, all the pertinent details. I can get them here. Then I can go down to a timeline, which is really wonderful. This gives me a timeline of his life. And it helps me to see if I've missed anything. Then the other great thing is that there is a map. But the maps that are as presented here are the maps of the family. There they go. When they came from Ireland, the little dots over here, across to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It kind of shows me, I'm wondering, my goodness, back in 1850 or 60, that must have been quite a trip. Then I can come up with his spouse and his children. They're all listed in this genealogy. And all of them are listed here. And then also I can go back and get his parents and his siblings, which I don't have. Then the important thing on this one was, and why it's just being released first of the year, is because there were so many duplicates. I got on one of my ancestors and I had 15 different people submitted the information, and some of it was right and some of it wasn't. With this program, we go back and we document, and we also delete and get back to one person, which I've already done with this. So when the program is released, this will be the Thomas Cashel with the information on it. And then any discussions that I want to have concerning this, there's a site where I discuss it, I post it, and if people are working on that line, they can come back and they can discuss it with me on the internet. Now, what more could you want in a program? Ancestry does a lot of the same things. Family Search, which is released to the world, it does all of these things. The new Family Search will be out to you very shortly, and the information that you have is just phenomenal. Why keep it under a box, under your bed? Why not get that genealogy out and submit it to one of these programs where you know it will be preserved for you for time and all eternity? Also, the fact, you remember years ago, people would not share their genealogy. They kind of want to hoard it. You know, I remember my grandmother saying to me, it was really interesting because she was a Southerner and she didn't want any Northerners seeing anything about her family. So by golly, she wasn't going to tell me a thing. Finally, she wrote the family genealogy book, which I'm able to have and to submit now and to know all the wonderful stories. Now, the next one that we want to discuss, and my husband's going to do that, is one that is least known, and it is the Google program. Google Chrome is probably one of the better of these genealogical sites, and one that you probably have not been using to do your genealogy with.
Yes, Google Chrome is probably the best kept secret in genealogy search. Ancestry, I've got it listed here on the second page. It's got a mixture of public and private databases. Family Search and New Family Search, which Kitty just talked about, are also private databases. But Google Chrome has got access to more public and private databases than Ancestry. So I'll get some examples here in a minute. Before we do that, I'll tell you some things about when you're searching on Google. You don't have to worry about putting upper or lower case when you put in keywords that's case insensitive. Now, if you put quotes around a word, and I'll get an example coming up here, that means Google is going to search all its databases looking for the exact words that you put in that exact order. So you have to be careful. Sometimes that's what you want, and sometimes it's going to exclude things. Another one, you can put the word "or" in capital letters between keywords when you're searching, and then Google's going to find results containing any of those keywords. So you don't give you this, A or B, not A and B, it's A or B. Okay, and use of a single asterisk, we got an example of this coming up. It's a wild card. For example, if you've got a name that may be misspelled, take a couple letters out and put an asterisk in there. Then when Google searches, it'll pull up everything that has any combination or string of characters that'll fit that. So if you've got a name that could possibly be misspelled, try a Google search with that. Okay, a couple of days ago, I put, and I'll explain the difference between Google and Google Chrome. Here is the Firefox, Mozilla Firefox, and here is Google, and that's a website. And a lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this. And I just put in my name here in Google the other night, and I got 4,860,000 hits. That sounds like a lot. But if you go to Google Chrome, and the only difference I've been able to find, it's got a little bar up here. It's got a different little toolbar, and it's got a little microphone here. And when I put in Harold E. Cole up there, I got 27,300,000. Remember, the other one was like 10 million. So I've got triple the amount if you go to Google Chrome instead of just plain Google. All right, now I'm going to try to type in I'll do this one later. Benjamin Baughan, we got 595,000 hits. If you put in Benjamin A. Baughan, we got 523,000 hits. And here's one where I put it in caps, Benjamin A. Baughan. So it's going to look just for Benjamin A. Baughan, and all the databases only found 6 hits.
That's in quotes.
Pardon, in quotes, I'm sorry. Now, let's go to the Benjamin A. Baughan again. And I was here the other night. Where is it now? Here, Old Canal Baptist Church History. And David Baughan here, you prepared this, right? Yes. Well, we were able to find this, and here's information. Well, his introduction, it talks about a young boy, and there's various stories and so forth. Okay, another one I found on here was one called Sorted by Name.
We picked the name Baughan to research because it's spelled B-A-U-G-H-A-N, and it is an unusual spelling of a name. And I read one time that everyone that has the last name of Baughan in this country is related. And so you can connect to them in some way.
Okay, here's the Sorted by Name. And there is a whole group of Baughans in here. In here. And here's, if you look at all of these bonds, I think that's a unusual name, but the Benjamin Baughan is here, Benjamin A. Baughan right here. And Nancy Elizabeth Simpson had a baby boy, William Albert. Here's Benjamin Baughan, birth date, he's in the census, and you can click on these records. So that one was a good source. And this one was interesting. This is a deed from a Sally Baughan, widow of Littlebury T. Baughan, to da-da-da-da, and there's Benjamin Baughan again. But the beginning part of this was interesting. Here is a Baughan, it's misspelled, different spelling, B-A-U-G-H in Family Genealogy Form. And I looked at this.
And like all computer history research, it takes time. And when you're there one time, you better record it, because the next time you go, it may not be there.
Here's a Baughan, there's a Virginia Baughan, there's another Baughans of Virginia. There's a whole, more Baughans, more Baughans. Look at all these things to track down. So Katie's got a lot of work to do here to track all these down.
And David.
Let me see. Family tree individuals. One more, and I'm gonna. If I can find it. You said you could have one night later and it's different. Well, I think you're getting the idea. There's Google Chrome, as like I said, is a huge database with public and private, and use it, because I think you'll find that to be very, very helpful. It's more things than answers.
Okay, I hope that doesn't look complicated to you, because it truly isn't. You insert a name and you play with the name until you come up with the amount of information that he's pulled up here. This would take me years to go through this and to comprehend what is on there. And yet, at times we say, I don't want to go from book to computer, because I don't know how to do it. Well, there are a lot of instructional programs on your computer. Also, don't they have a book for dummies for everything? But this one, Genealogy Online. And you know what? This is great, because you can paste, you can move it from one place to the other. You absolutely, there's no end to what you can do with your genealogy. Now, my suggestion to you is this. Don't depend just on these programs. You need to get a personal genealogical program where you record all of your own genealogy, such as Roots Magic. Now, Roots Magic is the one that the church is using now, and I go along with it because they seem to be putting more information into it than anyone else. I did use Personal Ancestral File for a while. But you need your own program on the computer. It needs to be backed up so that you will not depend on Ancestry to run your genealogy for you, or New Family Search, or Family Search, or any of the others that you have mentioned on this list. It's a very personal thing, and you want to be sure you keep your own line as you have written it down. That's important for you and for your posterity. Again, I can't emphasize enough how important it would be to you to get on one of these programs. And my suggestion would be get on Family Search and put your genealogy in there so it can be picked up and put in those vaults in Salt Lake City, just out of Salt Lake. And it is not for the use of any one church, let me tell you that. It is for the use of the world. And you can go to any of these libraries and order the films for your particular family or your particular area that you are interested in. You also can pick it up very easily many times on the internet, because I know what our church is doing is they're trying to get all those films onto the internet so people do not have to order them anymore. But that is a program that I want to tell you just about just for a minute. It's called indexing, Family Search Indexing. Now, in these computer programs, we take and we take and we take, and we give very little back to them. And this is a way that we can give back to all these people that are spending hours putting our ancestry out there, is by doing indexing. Now, it's called Family Search Indexing. That's all you have to put in Google, and it will come up. What it is the census records. Let's say we just finished with the 1920 census. Well, yeah, the census records are on the internet, and you can go to the 1920 census, and you can look for it all you want to, the names that you're interested in. But what we're trying to do is to get it into the Family Search program, so you can click in, as I did, on a particular name, Thomas Cashel, and if it's in the 1920 census, it would have come up. That was where one of the references we had for his name. So when you index, they actually place the 1920 census before you, and you select 50 names that you're going to take and enter into the Family Search program. And you enter it, there are 3 people doing the same name, actually 2 people doing the same name, and the third one is the arbitrator. So really, you say, well, I can't do that because I can't read the indexer's handwriting. Well, yeah, you're right. You probably can't read it half the time. But there is someone else who is there to help you interpret that. So family indexing is extremely important. We're doing military records, we're doing birth records, death records, census records, Irish census records, English census records. It goes on and on and on, the amount of information that is putting in there. Yeah, he's got it on the screen for me. As you can see, there's the English, Wales, U.S. California voting records now, Michigan, which would interest me. But all these records, and it tells you the degree of level of expertise that you have to have in order to work on these programs. I call myself a beginner, and I don't do anything except beginning. So click on one of those. Okay. You see there's a lot of Swedish names going into there also. Well, I'm not doing Swedish names because I don't speak the language. I have to go with the language that I can do. But this is a way that you can feed back to programs that are spending millions and millions of dollars to get this genealogy out to you. This is a way you can be of some service to help them to record these names on a particular program. Yes?
When you pull up a chart, whether it has the microfilm number on the bottom and somebody's name, is there ever a chance of getting hold of that person?
Yeah, if there's an email address, there is. Yeah, and a lot of times they'll put their email addresses on it.
Oh, so if there's no email
But
address,
yeah, because you cannot Salt Lake produces them. You cannot write to the library in Salt Lake and say, give me the email address, this name. No, they won't do that. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Again, with Google, how many times can you find an address or an email address of
But
a
I don't know where
person?
they are, just usually what I see is just different names.
Just the name, yeah, yeah. I would say to you it'd be very difficult, yeah.
I've got one pulled up here. For instance, they just want you to look at this form and type their last name, the first name, the age, and the gender, the event, month, day, year, nationality, and there's a little thing over at the side that tells you where it is. So you just go through 15 of these, and then you're taking it from a form and putting it into a form where people can use it.
A database, yeah, database, yeah. But this is a very important program, and I did want to bring it to your attention tonight because, again, Ancestry is very closely connected to New Family Search and to Family Search. There are a lot of the same people dealing in both programs. So this will be used by all these particular programs that I have put out that you would want to use. Now, if I can't leave you with anything other than this, I do my banking online. I buy clothes online. I read books online. I go and look at grocery prices online. I see what the gas prices are all over the country online. If you're not using a computer, you're missing out. You truly are. And we cannot say that I'm not of that age because you have to make yourself of that age. You know, let me just share with you my thought on this. I have reached a certain age where, I fight to get up out of bed in the morning. But I have found that the thing in my life that has made it interesting and exciting for me is that I learn something new every year. Every year I say I'm going to take on something new this year. This year I'm going to be a master quilter. Quilting is a thing that I'm really into. Next year, it'll probably be something else. Genealogy is the thread that goes through all of this. I would say to you, if you're not using the computer, look at all the information that you're losing. You can run from place to place to place and pick up all these books and all of these census records. But you can sit down at your computer and you can tune in to one of these programs, and honestly, all that information is right there for you. Why would we not do that? It is such an exciting new thing. Don't you want to be part of it? And I'm telling you the programs that are here, but I'm also telling you there's a program where you can give back to it, and that is very, very important. Now, we have people that come into our library that are really intent on doing their family history, but they absolutely will not touch the computer. Like this library, there are many, many wonderful books, but then my mind goes back to Cambodia. What happens if the books are not here any longer? What happens if there are no resources for you to go to and you don't know how to pull them up on the computer? What happens if some way your computer goes down and your genealogy is destroyed? Always keep it in your hand. All of who I am, all of who I was, is right here. And I think that is so amazing, and I stand in awe of this. What questions do you have for us that we possibly have not answered for you? What would you like to know?
There's one thing I found, and that is to make sure that you verify by 2 or 3 other sources a piece
Yes.
of information that you have, even off the record like this.
Exactly.
So many times I run into stuff, and it's the wrong thing.
I have particularly found that on Ancestry, and the only reason I mention Ancestry is because it's by far the biggest. And more people are feeding in and more people are changing. It is a public system, and consequently you have to be really careful of that. Thank you. Any other questions? I want you to let me know if you've gotten out of the class what you expected, and if you didn't, I want you to ask the questions.
I think I got far more than
Thank you, thank you. Google is the big secret. It's the one you really want to learn to use. Google Chrome, not Google, Google Chrome, yes.
I want to emphasize something you said, but go one step further.
Okay.
You've got that drive in your hand, which means you've got your data off-site. Everybody needs to make a copy of your data and get it out of your house.
Yes.
Store it somewhere else, your safety deposit box, or somewhere in case your house burns down, then you got it.
I stood and watched my father's house burn. It was after I was an adult, and we had gone to a meeting, and as we came around the corner, there was his house all in flames. And I stood there and thought, my mother was dead at the time, and I thought, there goes my mother's history. There goes everything she had accumulated in her lifetime, and it was gone within 15 minutes. Keep it with you. That's a very, very good point. The people in Cambodia, no history. Their books were destroyed. Most of their relatives had been killed. And they stood there not knowing a thing about where they came from and who they were. My profession is, I was a counselor. I'm a nurse, I was a counselor also, was in private practice. And one of the things that I did whenever a client came in, I had to laugh at myself, I would teach them about genealogy. Can you imagine that? Because I believe you have to know where you came from and what your people were truly like before you know who you are. The story of Thomas Cashel, I know that I'm from a flower gardening loving type people, and I'm very proud of that trait within myself. I know that they had the determination to send their kids one by one to America, to a better land they thought at the time, because their country was in bad shape. They had the endurance to do that. They were one of 7 families living in a little house in Dublin, Ireland. Can you imagine the inconvenience they had? But they survived. And not only did they survive, but they came to Michigan, and Kate was my great-grandmother, the daughter of Thomas. Well, her son, Tom Stevens, invented the coal bit. And if you don't know what the coal bit is, I'm going to tell you. The coal bit is the coal, the little instrument that cuts all the coal out of these mountains here in West Virginia. And my family was in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They invented the coal bit. This is Thomas's grandson. They took it down into the copper mines to use it, and it didn't work. And so someone said, why don't you and your 4 sons go to West Virginia and use it in the coal fields? And so they came to West Virginia. It worked in the continuous miner. The time was a very antiquated continuous miner. And today, that is my history. Would I give that up? Not for anything in the world. I'm a West Virginian. I'm proud to be a West Virginian. I was born and raised here. And my family was directly involved in the coal mining business. And something I'm very proud of. My children, one of them has stayed here, 3 of them are gone. But you know, 1 is still in the coal industry. I don't want them to lose that heritage. Therefore, I carry it with me. Therefore, I constantly search it on the internet. And I want to be proud of who I am. That's what my security is in life. I know where I came from. So as times get hard here in America, my ancestors did it. Why can't I do it? I'll look forward to whatever trials come my way, because in every trial there is a gift, and my ancestors showed me that. Any other questions? Yes.
What did you say the name of the program was that was replacing the PAF?
Oh, Roots Magic. Yes, it's a very good program. It really is. And those programs cost. You download them, and you can get one edition of the program for very free, and then the other edition, more advanced, it does cost $30 or $40. pay for it once, that's it.
Is
Any,
it possible to merge the two programs?
yes, yes,
So I have
yes.
PIF now, so.
You have PA, yeah, personal ancestral file, yes, yes, it will. Any other questions? Well, I hope you did receive what you needed here tonight, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Katie for coming out and Al for doing that for us tonight. And hope you come back again sometime. I know normally this is where I tell you to hurry up and get out of here before they lock you in. But tonight there's actually a Civil War lecture going on next door. If you hang around long enough, I think they have receptions. Hopefully you'll cut this out of the video later. But thanks for coming out. We'll see you hopefully at our showcase.
I would also point out that we are a repository as well. So if you want to give us a copy of your genealogy, we'll put a cover on it and put it out there for the public to see. In addition to that, you may not know that we are open tomorrow. So if anybody wants to come, it's Veterans Day, but we are open. Is it you and me? No, Greg and me. It's me and somebody here all day tomorrow.
Good evening,
And it's Kathy and I all day Saturday. So we are open even though it's a 3-day holiday for most of the state.